In Taurus.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Badass Marketing. If you are watching this, we are on the other side. So there you go. 2024. What's that all about? Angela, what do you got?
I'm so excited about today's episode because we're gonna play a game. It's
Oh,
called
we love games.
Dump the Marketer or
Dump the
Nail
marketer.
That Marketing Trend.
Okay. Let's go for it.
And
What do
I
you got for
am
me?
lovely show host, and Mike is the first contestant.
This can't be
How do
good.
you
It
feel
just
about
can't.
that, Mike?
Oh, so something or other. Yeah. All good. We're
Okay.
ready. Yeah.
So here's how today is going to work.
Do I
I'm
get a
gonna
lifetime supply of rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat, when we're
The
done?
San Francisco lifetime supply at
How's that
your
for
door.
branding, right?
So this is
When
how
was the
this is
last time you ate rice-a-roni? Just out of curiosity.
2 weeks ago.
Seriously, so you still buy it and eat it?
Honest to God, it is one of the fastest things to heat up and add sweet and sour and chicken and broccoli, and there you go.
Wow, I am impressed because I probably haven't had it in 40 years, right? But what a great brand. We even know the tagline. So, it doesn't, that's memorable. They
When
had
I
quite an
lived in
amount of brand
Wisconsin,
awareness.
I was extremely aware of it.
Well, like I said, it was a game show staple, or is a game show staple as far as I know, forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably been 40 years since I've watched a game show, Mike.
But they probably had rice-a-roni as one of the prizes.
Yes, I think it was a favorite on The Price is Right.
I wonder how much, well, we'll have to look into this. I wonder how much rice-a-roni is a lifetime supply.
Depends on how frequently you eat it and how big your family is.
Yeah, my understanding is they just ship you a bunch of it, up front and like, good luck.
And
Here's
then
your
you probably
problem.
have to buy a pod to put outside your door so that
Right.
you can,
Or your
or
garage is now the
distribute it.
rice-a-roni kingdom.
Yeah, or you distribute it to everybody in the neighborhood for whatever.
Exactly. All right, so
And
that lovely trip down memory lane, where are we going with this thing?
so here's what's going to happen. I am going to name a type of marketing, and you are going to describe it. And then what we're going to discuss is, because a lot of these they're really just, they're trendy words. They're somebody figured out how to put a name to something, and it's a
Okay.
tactic. Now, most of the ones, what I there are 41 altogether. We're only going to hit some highlights. And
Okay.
what the ones that I chose are ones that there's something in this tactic that we can apply to our audiences. So, what is it that we can learn from all of these cute words that people are floating around about different types of marketing that nobody cares about? So, here is number 12 from the list of 41. It's called buzz marketing.
So my job is to try to figure out what it is and then the
Yes.
application.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, buzz marketing, in my opinion, or, my understanding is that, just sort of creating a splash or a buzz about some sort of topic. And there's, whether it's through guerrilla marketing where, you may show up as a Ronald the McDonald clown on 51st Street and you're promoting something. And the fact that people will either take pictures of you and post you on social media or talk about you or talk about whatever happened or their experience creates this artificial buzz. It's probably very similar to viral marketing, is this idea of creating a buzz.
And basically what it is it's
So
a
I got it
type of
wrong?
no, you did
Okay.
really well. And you
Because you're
hit on
like,
another one
yeah,
that I'm
that's all nice, but no.
sounds good. Eh.
But no. No rice-a-roni for you.
So what buzz marketing really is it's kind of like an offshoot of influencer marketing. So you create some sort of an event or is some thing, some piece of content, or, some person that's new to your brand, and you create a whole buzz around it. So it's like trying to create viral marketing
It's to
intentionally.
create awareness.
Yes, yes, basically. Now, what I know about most solos and small businesses is they do not take advantage of events. For example, I have a friend, her insurance agency just hit 100 years in her family. Was there anything that happened on social media about that? She had a party, she invited everybody, but
Okay.
there was absolutely no leveraging of that in an email campaign or social media or celebrate with me on LinkedIn or any of that sort of thing. Um, so she didn't quite create the buzz she could have from an event.
Does she need more business?
That's a good question, and I don't know how to answer it.
I mean, because one of the things that I think is important, regardless of what type of marketing type you get to, and we'll get to more, is just to understand, do you even need it? Right? Because, if you're a small solopreneur, maybe you don't need a whole wave of new traffic. You just need one or two new clients or something like that. So for us, before we launch any marketing campaign, we're asking like, what are you trying to accomplish? Like, why are we having this conversation to understand what their needs are, and then try to figure out which on your list of 41 is appropriate.
Yes, exactly. So, are you ready for the next one, Mike?
Sure.
Okay. This one is called contextual marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I do know this, but I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this. Um, it's this contextual. Obviously, it's about context, and which the first rule of definition is you don't use the word to define in the definition. So, um, yeah, I'm going to struggle with this one because I conceptually understand it, but I would probably have a hard time articulating it.
Well, I think another way to say this one is really just it's segmenting and then personalization. It's really understanding, why does your client even need this? It's that context, because several different people, it's going to be a different reason for each of them. So it's really kind of segmenting your market, understanding their needs, wants, language, and all of that sort of thing, and then using different platforms where those people are and staying in alignment with whatever the rules are for that platform.
Wherever is most appropriate based on what you're talking about.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And
So
I think,
I whiffed on that. So no rice-a-roni for that. So
but there is an important message for our clients there. I don't think, you know, we kind of think, well, I've got this thing and people should buy it. We really don't think about the context. We really don't think about why somebody would buy services or goods from us. And there are different, I serve different segments, CPA or an attorney or a coach. They have different reasons. At the end of the day, yes, we all need more business and we all want to look good on social media, or some of us do. Um, but you really have to speak to their language and their motivation rather than whatever it is in our head that we think are the benefits and whatever.
yeah, I mean, I would concur. I mean, we constantly sort of say that, if you're just out there selling a solution and no one's asking for the solution, what's the point? But to go out to the market so that you can understand what are the pain points, what are the unmet needs, and then develop a solution to meet those unmet needs, that seems to be a lot more impactful.
And I might want to add that most of these different tactics for marketing are heavily based on data. And that is something that is not readily available to many solos, some, yes. And even to the people who um, data is readily available to, how often do they look at it and really make decisions based on that?
So you're talking about upfront predictive data, right? So, based on either historical data and with a look forward or other information, you know, data says you should do this. So it's predictive.
Or, the back end analytics too. Who are your visitors? Are you hitting your target audience?
Right. I mean, those are your KPIs, and then, those we're constantly sort of trying to get our clients to focus on, because that tells us whether or not whatever we're doing is working. So it's really important to understand what those metrics are going into it, which is important, again, to go back to the why are you doing this? Because, if the agenda is to create awareness, that's a different metric than to create a conversion or create a new client. So, understanding what the metrics are so that you can measure them to see that it's meeting the goals of whatever the marketing objective is.
Yes. So the next one is called stealth marketing.
So where do you find this? I mean, again,
These
without
are all from
using,
HubSpot, and I'll
okay,
send you the links so that you can include it in the show notes.
I will. So, again, not using the definition in the definition, but, just stealth marketing is sort of a low-key approach to create awareness without without the buzz and without the big splash. Really understanding who your target audience is, understanding what their needs are, and then maybe what you do is you put out a post or something that talks about, the unmet needs that they may have, and either a solution or how to address this or how to begin to address this. But it's definitely, a very low-key approach to sort of get directly to your buyer persona. How'd I
And
do?
one, not too bad,
No,
but
no rice-a-roni.
stealth
Apparently
marketing
not the San Francisco trees.
is kind of subtle. It's, if you're looking at a television program or something like that, and all of a sudden you see Starbucks coffee, or they
Product
mentioned
placement.
taco, there it's kind of like a shot that goes really, really fast, and you see a brand of some kind, or somebody makes mention of a good or a service or something like that. Are you running to Starbucks? Pick me up something, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of ethics involved with it, and it's something that's really subtle but very effective.
Right. So we're talking about product placement for in the scenario you create. I mean, and it's kind of interesting because it's like, especially when it's blatant, so maybe not so stealth, but when it's blatant, when you're watching a TV show and like, the person looking at the computer is clearly on a Mac. And so like, there was some product placement there, or again, they're drinking a Diet Coke or something like that, where, like, well, if Magnum PI drinks Diet Coke, I should too.
Do you remember? Are you a Game of Thrones person at all?
I'm not, sorry.
They shot a really serious, really in-depth scene, and somebody noticed there was a cup of Starbucks in the background. And there was just a huge
Of course
buzz
there was.
for
There's Starbucks everywhere. Of course there was.
so there
That's a
was
good
just
brand. A good brand is in every market, regardless if it actually exists.
yeah, I'm not a Starbucks girl, but I am a Game of Thrones girl. But there was just a huge buzz about that for at least a week or something about who left that Starbucks coffee cup in the scene.
But I guarantee, like, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? So people are talking about this, and they did talk, like, this is old. This was a couple of years ago, and they have talked about this, ad nauseum, and all I know is blah 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 Starbucks, blah 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 Starbucks. So
Yes, yes.
not a bad thing for Starbucks. Probably not
No,
planned, but definitely not a bad thing for Starbucks.
yes. Now, and small brands have less opportunity for this, and you want to make sure that you're in alignment if you do anything that is stealth marketing.
Yeah.
Um, and
But you have to
if
be
you're
careful, because stealth marketing can remain stealth and nobody even knew you did it. If
right,
you know, I would venture that most folks did not catch the Starbucks cup when the episode aired.
Really?
It's not until somebody goes back and like goes frame by frame, like, oh my God, look right here. But I don't think that there was a stealth marketing moment on the actual airing of the episode because I don't think anyone even noticed it.
Right, right. But Game of Thrones people are geeks. Do you think every single person went back to watch that scene so that they
Oh,
could find out if
it
they
definitely created, I mean, it created awareness. It went viral, so that it happened, but it wasn't intended. I mean, it wasn't at least I don't think it was an intentional place the cup here and let's see if we can generate buzz. I think it just happened to be, an oversight.
I don't think they ever got anybody to fess up to whose cup of Starbucks it actually was.
Exactly.
So this one's going to be easy. Are you ready for this
Thank
one?
God. I need some rice-a-roni.
Hands on the buzzer. Guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla, we love guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing is just anything sort of wacky, fun, just non-traditional, all kinds of craziness. Whether you walk down Main Street wearing a Barney outfit and give out flyers or, show up at a party and, do this type of thing. But guerrilla marketing is just sort of any sort of fun activity, I think, that's intended to create buzz and some awareness. And it's usually not traditional. It's just something, a little kooky, a little bit different. And it's great for small businesses to create awareness because it doesn't necessarily require a big budget.
Right, right. And it's mostly spontaneous and hyperlocal. You know, I
Sure.
way back in the day, I used to work at this pizza place, and so we would go during the lunch hour to the local water park where all the tourists were and say, hey, come and get a quick pizza for the kids after you swim all day. So we flyered, 700 cars that were at this water park.
We used to have a nightclub years and years ago, and what we would do is something wacky would happen in the nightclub, and it was never advertised and it was never planned, and it was one of those things was like, was that real? What just happened? You know what I mean? Where it would be two people would make out on the bar, and like people are like, what's going on? What's going on? And the intent was to create the buzz and to create the we should go back because we don't know what craziness they're going to do now, right? So, our form of guerrilla marketing is we always did these little weird things. They were like people that like they were never staff people, they're people we brought in from the outside so they'd never be known. And just do something strange or weird. And then people would talk about it. This was pre-Instagram, so we didn't make it on Instagram. We probably would have done a lot better had we. But the whole idea was like, oh, you got to come back because you just never know what's going to happen and you don't want to miss it. So
We do
creating sort
love
of
novelty.
FOMO, right? Creating a fear of missing out. FOMO,
Yes,
sorry, FOMO. Creating a fear of missing out by like doing weird things, and it was like they were just random things that we would do, and you never knew.
that's we love novelty. That's something that's just a little bit different, a little off
Mhm.
kilter, whatever it might be. All right. This one is also going to be fairly easy. Partner marketing.
Yeah, I mean, so this is hopefully where you can align with somebody who has a complementary skill, doesn't maybe necessarily directly compete in your space. I think we're a good example of partner marketing where our focus is very digital and very, SEO and AdWords and stuff, and you're a little more hands-on about messaging and LinkedIn and social media. So we sort of complement each other. We do some work in that space, but that's not our primary focus. Last time I checked, you weren't doing SEO. So, because, we
I'm
can partner
going there.
because, yeah, because we can partner because we have some complementary services that, naturally would be aligned with one another. So, I think it's really about just bringing two complementary services that, don't necessarily overlap together for added value to the client.
Yeah. And some people actually call this
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
marketing. It's different from affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is a different kind of a relationship altogether, but co-marketing is, and I think you could also call this, it's like referral marketing accelerated or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we do some marketing partnerships where, like, so we do have a hyper local focus and we have businesses on the corridor. And what we'll do is we will do a co-marketing with a restaurant and a bar, or a restaurant and an entertainment value, where you go and see a show and then you get a discount or some sort of complimentary food at the restaurant after. And the idea is, once we have you on the corridor, let's try to keep you there. So, we will have dinner here, and then, we will give you a coupon for a nightcap at the bar next door, or, down the street. If you see a show, we'll give you a discount off. And this is sort of, this co-marketing, co-branding allows us to market the corridor, and to get foot traffic, and to generate some movement around the corridor. So, most people will go in, have dinner, and leave. We want them to go in, have dinner, and then go to another venue that's already on the corridor.
Creating a little bit of loyalty for the corridor as well.
Well, and also, the other thing is maybe just creating awareness, right? You've come out to the corridor, you go to your favorite restaurant, that kind of thing. But did you know that across the street there's a new tequila store? Or did you know that that theater opened? Those types of things. A lot of times what will happen is we can do these co-promotions, especially with the newer businesses, to build awareness that they're even there.
Exactly. And yes, there is a lot of potential in this type of marketing, especially if you're talking about hyperlocal or services that are really in alignment. And what I have found is, if somebody's redoing their website, they get to a certain point and they say, oh my gosh, my LinkedIn profile sucks and it's not in alignment with my website anymore. So it really is kind of a natural partnership.
Yeah, and we do that also, like when they're redoing their website, we're like, hey, what about web accessibility, right? And make sure that sort of, accessibility solutions are incorporated in the redesign, so that they can reach a wider, more diverse audience.
Yes. So, yay.
Yeah, I finally got some rice already. Yeah.
So here's another one of your favorite ones where the descriptor is in the word itself. So this one is customer marketing.
This is just sort of, should be a no-brainer, right? Where it's just, you have existing clients, and there's, the adage is it's harder to get a new client than to keep the one that you have. So, one, we want to keep the clients at the service level that they're currently at, or get them, do some kind of upsell or some sort of premium above and beyond. So this is basically marketing back to people who have demonstrated they like your service because they are your clients. And then seeing if there's opportunities to upsell them, to expand, to increase the activities that you're doing with them, maybe some complementary activities, or to a greater degree. But marketing back to your own customer base, because they've already demonstrated that they're happy with the work that you're doing. So why not do some more?
Ding, 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 ding. There's
Now I
your
have
rice
2 life
aroni.
supplies of rice aroni. God knows.
Yes. So it's kind of the opposite of acquisition marketing. And here's what I think is super interesting about customer marketing. The ROI is the highest because it doesn't take a lot to market to your existing clients or your past clients. And the other thing is, it is by far the most effective method. If you have add-ons or other services or a membership, something like that, those things are really great ways to keep people in your realm.
Yeah, I mean, the really important aspect here is making sure that your clients are happy to begin with, right? Because if you go back to them and just like, hey, I'm trying to sell you more stuff, and they're like, yeah, maybe not.
Didn't like the
So,
first
I
stuff you
mean,
sold me.
yeah, we didn't love that. So, I mean, it's really, this is going to be based on how happy your existing clients are. Because the happier they are, the more receptive they're going to be to some new ideas, new products, or expansion. So, customer first, make sure they're happy before you try to upsell them.
Yes, exactly. So are you ready for the next one?
Sure.
Okay. Experiential marketing.
Yeah, I mean, so this is I'll go back to the corridor for this one with the experiential. It's like, okay, what is a day on the corridor like? So what we try to do is create an experience where you do go to an entertainment value. Maybe you go bowling or you do something like that. And then after bowling, you get ice cream. And then after ice cream, maybe there's some other kind of follow-up. And, it's about the experience that you've had during sort of those activities. So creating activities or creating memories, sometimes we call this destination marketing or experience marketing, is creating an experience. We've done this around where we incorporate marketing with Airbnb. So you're in a new town, you're probably not all that familiar with it, right? You know all sort of the big tourist traps, but if you really want to experience local, what we do with experience marketing is, we will leave a coupon at Airbnb for a local restaurant, or we'll leave some sort of activity, a recommendation for an activity that is unique to that neighborhood, so that you get to experience what it's like to live here, which is a little bit different than going to, the major tourist traps and stuff like that.
Right. And so it really is focused on the whole experience. And it can be hyperlocal.
And defining the word with the word.
Yes, exactly. Your favorite.
My third grade English teacher would take exception to that, but other than that,
so
like, you
it can
can't
be
do
focused,
that.
it can be focused on an event. It can be focused on video, behind the scenes, here's how we make the donuts, that kind of thing. But you're offering a very customized and unique experience to whoever it is that's looking at your marketing. So it still needs to be personalized, in some way, shape, or form, but you're offering them, an insider view, an experience of your goods or services. Like the tequila tasting, if the owner was to actually taste a new tequila and give people tasting notes in a video, that would be experiential marketing.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding with experiential is really about creating activity that they can actually do. So I would say that having the tastings where they get to taste, is more in line with that, where, their experience was they got to come into the shop, they got to experience what the shop felt like. And then as part of that experience, they got to try product. So, for me, it's usually some sort of activity that they engage in, to create that experience.
Or an event, and then follow up, sharing videos from that day, keeping that whole feeling from the event going, that
Right.
kind of thing. So, ready for the next one?
Sure.
This one is called multicultural marketing.
This one's tough. The concept isn't tough, right? But being sort of aware of, the fact that there are different cultures and that, different things resonate based on your cultural experience. Because what may resonate with one culture may be offensive to another culture. So understanding that your messaging probably needs to be tailored to very specifically to your audience, and it could be part of that tailoring is be aware and sensitive to the cultural aspects of your target audience. We've seen this when we've done some marketing in the Middle East. There's certain things we can't say or we shouldn't say, and there's certain things, how they perceive things is different than what we would do if we were running a marketing campaign in the US.
Yeah, and it can be very seasonal too. If you have goods and services that fit a cultural or a religious holiday for a certain group, where can you meet them and how can you use their language and their values and, their traditions, to market something that is useful to them, not just something you're trying to sell them.
And I think that that's a very key point with this idea of using their language. And what that means is that you need to have some insights into that culture. And, a lot of times what we see is sort of misappropriation, that people will take stuff from other cultures and try to pass it off. And that won't resonate. Whereas, if you want to target a specific group, then there should be somebody on your team who has an understanding of what these cultural implications are. Because otherwise, the outsider trying to project what this culture wants, almost inevitably is going to be a miss.
Yes. Yeah. So an intimate understanding, a real understanding. And I think this is something that, even solo practitioners need to be aware of more and more, because we can't expect everyone to meet us where we're at. We need to sort of tailor our message to their values and their insights and perspectives.
I mean, we experienced this with the whole, pronoun thing, right? Where it was very important to make sure that you identified the way they wanted to be identified. And, if you're not sensitive or you're not aware of the pronouns and what they mean and how they're perceived, you're likely going to get it wrong and you're going to make it worse. So, really, if there isn't someone on your team, at the very least, make sure that you're going out and talking to your target audience and like, hey, this is new to us. Can we ask you some questions? Can you give us some guidance? Because we can't always identify as that culture. And therefore, we need to make sure that we listen to the culture versus trying to project onto it.
And then finding out where they would like to be, where they would like us to meet them. If they have their own formats, their own places that they want to see those types of ads, advertising, promotions, whatever they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be activities and, like you said, holidays and festivals that may be very specific to your target demographic. And then you'd obviously want to incorporate those into your, cultural marketing.
Awesome. So another lifetime supply of rice-a-roni. And this one is it's a little twist on the last one. It's cause marketing.
And so I'm assuming with this is if you align with something like climate change and what you want to do, is you want to represent that your brand is a sustainable brand, that your brand is using recycled packaging and doing things that are environmentally friendly. So if your target audience has a particular cause that they are supporting it, and you would want to be able to align your values around those causes. So again, I think the best example there is, if you're all about greening and those types of initiatives, then you really need to have some sustainable practices. I mean, I think this is really interesting because we have very long, for a long time have said, you have a tremendous opportunity when you spend your dollars as to where you spend them and what you support. If there is an organization that is supporting a cause you don't like, why would you spend your money there? Right. And if there's an organization that, has routinely supported things like LGBT or other diversity initiatives, and you want to support them, then you should support the people that are supporting the initiatives you care about.
Yeah, a great example of this that I saw just recently, there's a local restaurant here in San Rafael that their gift certificates that they're selling for the holidays, $5 from every single one of them goes to World Kitchen. So if that is something that you're in alignment with, of course you're going to buy those. Of course, if you're not aligned with that, it has the opposite effect. But and Patagonia is another organization that really has made a commitment to climate change and sustainability and that sort of thing. And they are
And we've
fairly
seen that in some of our cannabis initiatives where part of the proceeds will go to the Last Prisoner Project, to help overturn, wrongly convicted folks or people that are, subjected to, our archaic drug laws, those types of things. There's another program that, we worked with that part of the proceeds gave, supported veterans with PTSD. So, the opportunity to support causes that are very important while you're buying products, because a portion of the proceeds, is another way to do that as well.
Yes. I have encouraged some of my clients also, if they're supporting a certain cause, you can say that right in your about section. 5% of my gross intake goes to these three causes. And
Right.
I have a couple people that are very big promoters of different forms of cancer research or Alzheimer's. So they mention that right in their profiles, and people align with that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's just important that you follow up and you support what it is you're claiming you support.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think all of us would rather give our business to people who are givers, not just takers. So I think there really is an impact to cause marketing.
yeah, I think that, the only hesitation I have with cause marketing is I think there's a very careful line that we don't want to cross, right? Because we don't obviously want to simply take advantage of the cause in order to make money.
Right.
So, it has to
Exactly.
be
It has to be
perceived
authentic.
and genuine, correct? Yeah, it has to be perceived as, real.
Right. So last one. Are you ready?
I'm ready. This is
And
for the
this one,
big box.
this is for the whole game.
Okay.
Neuro marketing.
Uh, so neuromarketing is about the brain because it's neuro. So that's as good. That's as far as I get on that one. So apparently I'm not getting the big enchiladas. So you'll have to share with me.
Well, this one is all about neurolinguistics and how the amygdala makes decisions and providing a sense of safety and all of that sort
The
of thing.
amygdala, is that my grandmother? What,
That's the amygdala. I said it wrong.
Dala? Okay.
But it's
We
it's
call her Gramps, but you can call her whatever you want.
it's based on how the brain actually responds to marketing and how we can take advantage of that. Rather than because what people have found out is that we don't give darn about the features. We're really buying whether we trust you and like you. That's where the real decision is. Are you like us? Are you going to take care of us? Am I safe with you? Are you going to meet my needs?
Yeah, I mean, we are typically buying an experience. We want this to make us happy. We want this to feed us. We want us, to be better, slimmer, trimmer. It's about, if you can tap into what is the desire, and then, oh, by the way, our product helps you get there. But really, people buy the outcome that they want, right? We buy a car because functionally we need to get from point A to point B, but that's not very sexy and that's not a great marketing, pitch. But from a marketing perspective, the car is, it's an extension of my persona. It is how, it creates, the illusion of, status, those types of things. So, if I want to look sexy or something like that, I drive a sports car, if I'm, down to the earth, kind of I might go for a pickup or something like that. Those are just some horrible examples, but
Environmentalists, you'll buy an e-car or a Prius.
right. Because, walking the walk theoretically.
Yes. Yes. And it really gets complex. I mean, there's an awful lot of research. It's a huge category. Can't believe they even added it to this list, but it is something that even our clients need to be aware of. The whole decision-making process. We certainly overwhelm people with features and that sort of thing, and that is not where the decision-making process is. So it is something that we need to be aware of and keep it in mind when we're having conversations with prospects and when we do our marketing.
I mean, I think the fact that there's, 41 types of marketing on this list is suggestive that one, there's some overlap as to what their functions are. But the other thing is there's no one way to do marketing.
Yeah.
You really need to understand what the objectives are in your marketing campaign, what you're trying to accomplish, and then looking at these tools, whether it be experience, whether it be location, those types of things, to meet what it is that your marketing objective is trying to do. So, there's different ways to skin the cat. Sorry, guys, if you're in the background, no offense.
They're way in the back of the house today.
I just realized I probably killed their Christmas. But, this idea is like, I wouldn't go to a client without understanding their needs and say, oh, you need experience marketing, right? It's like, but if a client comes to me and says, these are the types of clients that we're trying to reach, and they're new to the neighborhood and they're, not familiar with what's around, I might say, hey, one of the solutions we might be able to come up with is an experience, those types of things. So, I think the fact that there's different ways to do this, there's many different ways to, do different marketing, whether it's content marketing, virtual reality, online, in-person referral, it is really going to be contingent upon what is your bottom line objective.
Right, exactly. And just because there's a cool new marketing tactic out there doesn't mean that you need to use it. It really is something that has to be in alignment with your business model and your business objectives.
But I think the whole point of the list, though, is important because it's like, okay, here are some of the options that are available. Because a lot of us will like, okay, we do like the top three things. We do content marketing, we do SEO, and we just go. And like, well, what about this? What about trying that? Especially with folks that have limited budgets, we might need to try different things. Because maybe AdWords is too expensive, that type of thing. So this list is sort of a handy reminder of like some of the other options that are out there and some of the other approaches. And then we would incorporate this into whatever we're going to call our marketing mix, or the marketing mix that's appropriate for the client, and then test it. Right? Did the experience marketing, generate buzz? Did it create more people coming back? Did they book a second stay at the Airbnb? Making sure that we're always tracking those metrics to understand what's working, what's not.
Exactly. And marketing is changing so fast right now. It may be time to try something a little bit different. And I do want to make the point that if you are using one of these tactics on this list, take the time to pat yourself on the back and say, yay, me, because we don't celebrate enough. We're always looking at, oh, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? I got to do this. I got to do that. Celebrate what you're already doing that works.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's just it. It's very important to understand what works, right? Because there's a lot of options out there. We can try them. And then, based on whether the sort of feedback or whatever other way that you measure the success of this, you can decide to continue to do it or try something else. But try it, try to figure it out, see, some of the options, and not all of them will work, and some of them aren't appropriate, but, these are other options than some of the more traditional things that we typically think of when we think of marketing.
Right. And, somebody else might have a different name for some of these. First of all, Mike, thanks for playing. You were a fantastic contestant. And I do have one last question for you.
Where do you want me to ship my rice-a-roni?
Yeah, you can give me your details,
Yeah.
offline. But is there anything that we missed that you think would be super important to point out?
I don't know that we necessarily missed anything, but obviously, there's enhancements to all this, right? Because, we're clearly in a world of AI. So can we can look at some of these more traditional types of marketing, and then can we incorporate AI into some of these aspects to either expand the experience, to do other things, to create other ways of creating awareness. And I think that's, what I would say is, given where we're at and what's going on, I would, are there means to look at some of these more traditional marketing techniques and then leverage AI to enhance them?
Yes, efficiencies are super important. And, just because you tried one of these tactics once, don't give up after a month. Look at it and see, why didn't it work? And then make a decision on whether you're going to try something again.
Yeah, I mean, look at not only why didn't it work, but look at what were you trying to accomplish, right? Because a lot of times our objectives, when we look back at our objectives, like, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We weren't focused on what the customer wanted. We were focused on like trying to move inventory in from the warehouse. So, really understanding what were your key objectives when you ran this particular piece of marketing. Did they actually align for what you wanted? Did the marketing style or technique align with what you were trying to accomplish? And what was your bottom line objective?
And what did you learn? Is
Yeah,
it a
I mean,
is it a minor tweak, or is it, throw it out?
yeah, I mean, we a lot of times we've learned don't do that again. It's just, oh God, we've had that experience more than once. So, but as long as we can learn, even the bad ones, as long as we can learn from them, take from it, and then use it going forward in a more positive means, it's not a total write-off, at least not in my book.
Right, exactly. So, what parting words of wisdom do we have for the audience today? Our
Um,
last episode in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for 2024. I think it's going to be like, I think the things that we're seeing around AI, and not to get stuck on AI, but I mean, I just think they're amazing. And I think that, it's giving us so many more tools and so much more ability, where we can produce things, create things without, humongous teams. We can be small service
And
providers
mighty.
and small and mighty, right? Because we now have all these tools that we can leverage to increase our capabilities, to increase our capacities, those types of things. So I would say, 20 to 24, bring it on. We're ready for whatever's down the pike. And again, the only thing we ask is Dolly learn how to spell.
Yes, please. Please.
Yeah, we need to check that one this year, next year at this time. Like what happened with Dolly? Did they ever learn how to spell? That needs to be on our list. Um, because clearly they can't. But happy 2024. We will see you in the new year. We're excited about that. If you like what we've talked about, please give us a like, comment. If you're unhappy, just leave us a comment. Tell us what we should be working on, what we should be focused on. And we look forward to seeing you in 2024.
Happy holidays, everybody. Woohoo.
Another year, right? Wrapped.